This is a baller move right here.
This feels like a treat before Christmas, honestly.
So it's Wolf and Luke.
You don't have one, do you?
Mitch
Surprise!
Vareldzis. Mitch is in for Wolf, and Wolf's here too.
Mitch!
What's up, Wolf?
What's going on, man? How you doing, boys?
Well, clearly I'm in a great mood, but also you're here on what is a day that I'm in your chair. So
Your
I'm
first
admittedly
vacation
confused.
day, and you're at work, Wolf. How's this going?
Yeah, I know. I had to come in, guys. I really did. You know how I love my Big Red, and to see the season end the way that it did, I had to come in here and scratch that itch, if you will. This is our show, of course. We love to be accountable. We talk about it all the time. Minch, thank you so much for coming in today and filling in for me. I love that, brother. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yet at the same time, based on the Cardinals season ending, I felt like I had to be here.
Well, I guess let's start with the start, because that's the part that made zero sense to me, Wolf. It was 8 penalties in the first 15 and a half minutes, and they weren't all great calls, but it's for a team that averages less than 5 a game. And that wasn't even it. That was just the penalties are kind of the headline, but that wasn't the only problem. How do you start a game like that?
Yeah, you weren't ready to play. You were not ready to play, and I'm sorry. You know where I'm going to go with this, but this is me. I believe this, Basinonians. I believe this. This is dogma right here. JG and his coaching staff, I promise you, they got the guys ready to go. I promise you, they got them ready to go. I want to know what was going on inside that locker room. I want to know in preparation what was going on and who was leading and who may not have been, and were there people that were saying anything. And again, when I say lead, I'm not talking about we're going to hit them high, we're going to do this, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about prepare yourself to ball out with everything you have. Yeah, I understand it's the Carolina Panthers. I understand they've won 3 games. I know that. But you know what? They are playing better. There's no doubt about it. They were playing better. Still, this is a team we should beat. And the only way we're not going to beat them is if we go down there and in the first 15 minutes look like we didn't even prepare to play a game. And that's exactly what they look like. And that comes down to every man inside that locker room preparing his own heart, preparing his own soul to go out there onto that field and walk in between those white lines and give everything. Have you heard this before, Luke? Mm-hmm. Yes, you've heard this before. Okay? But it's dogma with me. If you take the effort and the intensity away from the game of football, you have flag. You have flag football. That's what you have. The intensity and the effort and the will to take your spot above the eyes and put it on somebody else's spot below the lips is really, really high in the game of football. I saw a team that wasn't ready to play, and it took them 15, 20 minutes into the second quarter, well into the second quarter, before they lit a fire, and suddenly they were ready to ball, and they got back into the game. I was telling you guys, I was so proud of the fact they got back into the game and tied it up and went into overtime. But man, you can't spot a team in the National Football League 20 points. You can't get behind 20-3 in a football game and expect to come back. And they allowed themselves to go out there. They got knocked around early on, 8 penalties in the first quarter. To your point, Luke, you're talking about a team that leads the NFL in least amount of penalties, right?
Yeah.
The least amount of penalties, and they go out there, and you have 8 in the first quarter. Now, the first play, oh my goodness, Marvin Harrison Jr. was not offside. He was not offside. I don't know what the dude was thinking, what the linesman was possibly thinking, where he threw the flag. He was not offsides, did not line up in the neutral zone. And I didn't see it at the time. I took his word for it on the first play of the game and went back and looked at it. He was not offsides to me. Okay, so
there was a few of those that were not good calls. Still,
there were 7 other calls in that first quarter. That is not the discipline the Arizona Cardinals have shown all season long to be the least penalized team in the National Football League. Would you say that's a good thing, a good character trait to actually have? That is a fantastic trait to have collectively as a team, that you are the least penalized team in the National Football League. It shows a massive amount of discipline, and that's exactly what I think was lacking in that first quarter, was the intensity and the discipline. And I put that on the men inside that locker room, who put the mouth guard on, put the bonnet on, and walked in between those white lines and said, "You shall not pass." I put that on them inside the locker room. And I hope they accept that accountability themselves and say, we just walked in between those white lines, and for whatever reason, we laid an egg. Maybe it was the fact we thought we were going to blow them away. I have no idea. I don't know. But I think if I was inside that locker room, I think I would have a better idea as to why that happened. So, man, my brothers, I understand sometimes you think you're ready to play and you go out there and you think, man, I'm prepared. I'm ready to do this. And then you think you're giving it, but you don't have that intensity level. And it's rare that you ever can find it after you don't have it. And that's why it was so confounding, because they did something that's much more difficult to do. That's fire the engines midstream and started playing so much better. And suddenly they go into overtime. They lose it in overtime, but I know I'm ranting and raving here, yet my passion for Big Red and the guys that are inside that locker room, guys that I know who are leaders, what happened? What happened?
But if they had just played with that intensity in the first quarter, we wouldn't be talking about a loss today.
You mean like that intensity?
Yes,
that we just
No,
had?
hey, listen, it's easy for me to get intense right now. It's easy. I'm not out there in between the white lines. I'm not the guy sticking it on somebody. I'm not. But man, to see 8 penalties, as I said, the defense allowed big plays all over the field. This is what the defense hasn't done. The explosives, they haven't allowed this stuff. 7 plays of 20 yards or more. They allowed all the missed tackles on those 7 plays of 20 yards or more, including Chuba Hubbard in his 21-yard run in overtime. That was the exclamation point on it all, where he ran through not 1, but 2 Arizona Cardinals that I've got an awful lot of respect for. 2 guys. They may have knocked each other off. I have no idea, but I know Chuba Hubbard went right between both those guys and scored the touchdown that won the game. I thought that was indicative of the entire day for the most part right there. And the missed tackles, something that we just don't see an awful lot of with the Arizona Cardinals. And again, I know that I'm up here right now, but it's because of the love that I have for some of the dudes that are in that locker room and the passion that I have for the game. And to see them try to overcome that start, which they did. Man, so much respect for that, yet at the same time, I will never understand how you came out in a game that you knew this you had to win, you had to have against a 3-win team. I know they've been playing better. I know they're NFL players, yet at the same time, nobody's ever going to be able to convince me the Carolina Panthers are a better team than the Arizona Cardinals, but the Panthers proved it on that day.
Well, yeah, that's the frustrating part. That realistically, the only way Carolina was going to beat the Cardinals is if the Cardinals opened the door for them, and they opened like 12 doors for them.
Thanks for watching Wolf and Luke. Tap to see more and click the button in the middle to subscribe to Arizona Sports.